Arr, ye mateys. Yarr. BottleNed here. We're here to find some bottles on the beach. Okay, all dried off now. All right. Okay, so what did wet BottleNed, who washed up on the beach, say? Finding bottles on the beach. That seems kind of impossible, doesn't it? Especially antique bottles. Well, all I have to say about that is ish. So, I've found this took a while to figure out. I was like finding all these pieces of bottles, especially washed up at the high water mark, like the 100-year storm high water mark on this remote California beach, which used to be really close to a shipping lane, a 19th century shipping lane, which ships used to carry cargo up and down the coast from San Francisco to Portland. From Europe, they came in from Asia, from the eastern United States, carrying, among other things, bottles. So this is the high water mark. So every time there's like the biggest possible storm ever, it washes up all the flotsam and jetsam cast in from the oceans, from the deep sea. So much poetry. Wow, my word use is amazing. But anyway, so it casts all this stuff up really high into the dunes where it settles for pretty much indefinitely, because the water really doesn't get higher than this at the highest possible tide at the biggest storm. So we're gonna find some shit today that some of it has washed up as much as 170 years ago and is still here on the beach. Wow, what the fuck? This is in a scattered debris field of old driftwood, metal that's rusted. Got this camera in pretty good. And all the other stuff that washed up over the last 170 years of maritime history in this area, including this bottle. Look at this beautiful purple bottle. It's got the top broken off because some beachcomber probably left it behind because it was broken, but look at the sun-colored amethyst in that. I don't know if you can see this. Let's see. Let's make sure you can check it out. God damn, is that my face? Oh, fuck. Okay, that's way better. Way more attractive, I tell ya. Okay, I'm gonna hold it up to the sun. This is a sun-colored, this is a whiskey bottle made in the 1890s. And it has a lot of manganese in the glass because before World War I, when they used manganese for their bullets, for the war effort, they used to put a lot of it in the glass. And they stopped putting it in bottles when America entered the war because they needed to conserve that element, I tell ya. But so this was a bottle that was thrown over the side of a ship in about 1890. Some sailor drank his whiskey and threw it over the side of the ship. It washed up here. The reason why it washed up is because it had a cork in it. So it survived it being sunk in the deep abyss and washed up on this beach, right in this debris field, and settled here. Look at that. And it's still here. Wow. You can see driftwood, pieces of old timbers and nails and things from the history of maritime California. So we're gonna leave this right here because this is a national seashore, and believe it or not, it's against the rules to take sea glass from a national seashore. So we can't do it because it's against the law, along with pretty much everything else on public lands, such as dogs and fires and taking a shit and breathing and existence in general. So we're gonna leave that right here because putting us on fucking YouTube, and you can't take, and you shouldn't take anything because this is an archaeological site essentially. It shows the history of all the ships that sailed through this area. It's just so interesting. So we're gonna leave it for someone else to enjoy. And actually I'm probably gonna rebury it, honestly, in the sand so that some idiot doesn't come and take it. Of course, you know, I would be that idiot back before I knew it was illegal. Here's another bottle that washed up. This is probably a little newer. Not that much newer. It's probably from about 1920. And it has a monogram there. That probably stands for J. Folger. It's probably some kind of seasoning or spice or something. Table salt, something like that, from about 1920. This was used on a ship, you know, people eating, and then they threw this overboard. Once again, it had a cork in it, washed up on the beach, and stayed on the beach. And will stay on. Oh, there's the cork. There's the cork right there, rolling around. So cool. History, man. I mean, that's really fucking cool, just to see that context. So we're just gonna bury it. Protect it, I tell you. Protect it from the elements. God, look at this. There's a sauce bottle. Here's another sauce bottle. Arr, these seamen! Lee and Perrin's Worcestershire sauce. They were eating a lot of meat that was going bad and they wanted to try to preserve it. Look at this debris field, man. This is stuff from the 19th century, from the 20th century, from all the centuries. Look at all the glass mixed in. Look with the purple glass. Look at this. These are bottles from the turn of the century, pharmacy bottles. Turning purple because it's been sitting out here in the sun for so long. Glass turns purple when it's exposed to ultraviolet rays. The glass that's like pre-World War I, made in America. Anyway, let's see what else we got. Yeah, see all these bottles are broken in place? Do you know why? Why? I do. Ooh, look at that metal plate. This is all very old. So the reason why a lot of these bottles seem to be broken in place, okay, check it. So, think about it this way. This is my theory, whatever. I think it's right though. Actually, I know it's right because I'm BottleNed. Okay, so it took me a while to figure this out though. Okay, the bottles are broken. They wash up whole, right? Slowly over time, these little teeny rocks, they like, the wind, strong winds push the rocks against the bottle, knocking it into the glass, slowly causing little teeny hairline fractures and bruises over time in the glass, a lot of time. And the bruises and fractures get bigger and bigger over the decades until the bottle falls apart. And it has this sandblasted look. It doesn't look like it's quite sea glass, like it was washed around in the ocean. It just looks like it's kind of worn out by, and the reason why is it's all the rocks tumbling over it. Can you believe I figured that out? I'm not even that fucking smart. But yeah, I'm pretty much 99.69% sure that's the reason. A pretty blue bottle. See how the edges are smoothed out? But they're not quite smoothed out by the action of the water and the surf. They're smoothed out by all these little rocks going like this for decades, centuries. I know because I am an immortal. I was here to see it become what it is today. I wish. Anyway, yeah, blue, pretty. Poison bottle or a medicine, something potent for the sailors. All this stuff is from sailors at sea. Even there's like 1940s whiskey flasks and medicines, everything out here. Let's find something really old. Let's see. How old is this? That's from about 1890, oh no, it's got the Owens ring, 1920. Buck. Come on, man, old! We want old, I tell you. Who knows what this is? It's a Japanese fishing float. Broken one, of course. Nice bubbly, beautiful aqua glass. Yeah, the Asians really like their glass fishing floats. It would have had like a net, like rope around it that was kind of tied around it in a pattern to protect it from breaking. So it wasn't just glass against the whatever objects were bumping against it. But yeah, they ended up on the beach. They were washing up onto the beach well into the 20th century, I think, when they stopped using them. And now you don't see them anymore because most of them are gone, broken, Just in shards. See, they're just laying there. What once was a whole bottle is now merely broken shards. But it was whole, sitting there. It's basically been sitting there this entire time. In one form or another. Isn't it weird? God, it's so weird. I'm sorry, but does anyone else find that just so interesting and bizarre? I mean, like, you don't see things like that weird and out of place every day, right? Like antique bottles on a beach. I found that very odd and bizarre, I tells you. Wow. I mean, just don't see weird things like that hardly ever on a beach. I just never see shit like that. It's like you see something and it shouldn't be there in that context. You know? What the fuck? Why? How? Cow! Okay. Awkward. Look at these sandblasted bottles. They're not very old. They're like jars, like Best Foods mayonnaise from the 30s. Best Foods, love Best Foods. So bring out the best. But look at the sandblasting. It's beautiful. It's just been rolling over it with the winds, the ebbs and flows. And it's just created this beautiful effect on the surface of the glass. Frosted. I'm gonna bury these too. I noticed somebody picked them up and put them next to a log. Good thing they didn't like take them home and try to throw them in the trash can because they thought they were litter. That's another issue. Fucking stupid. Ooh. Ah. Aqua glass. For seasickness, I tells ya. A lot of these bottles were medicinal for scurvy and different forms of seasicknesses. Hops number 9. I wonder what number 10 tasted like. Cough syrup, maybe? To cure the maladies of the pirate. Arr! The Trail of Tears. Look at it. Just look at it. Leading up to the final piece. This was a berry jar from the Civil War period. So there were ships out in that ocean right there. And they were bringing supplies from all over the world to California for the gold rush. And ever since then. So you truly have bottles that washed up here 170 years ago, like this one, and ended up in the sand and became broken by the shifting sands and winds. Oh man, that's cool. Except for the fact that it's broken. They don't call me broken BottleNed. They call me whole BottleNed. Purple bottle, whiskey cylinder. You can just make out some embossing and the Y for whiskey. What else was there to do in your off time as a sailor? Sailing a clipper ship 140 years ago, but to drink some whiskey. I'm going to take you back in history just for a second. Let's pause and reflect here. In the debris field behind me lies bottles that were washed up here between 170 years ago and pretty much the present, but most of it's really old. So imagine somebody coming from somewhere in the world, say Europe. They sailed to California for the gold rush. They were seamen, I tell ya. And they ended up in the port of Oakland in 1852 or 1854. It's oddly specific. Anyway, so yeah, let's say 1854, they're in the port of Oakland at Jack London Square, and they went to the pharmacy and they bought themselves a little pharmacy bottle that they'd need on the voyage to wherever they're going next. And somewhere out here, many, many miles away from the port of Oakland, along this secret stretch of coastline in Northern California, they were on a ship and they were feeling seasickness, and they drank the rest of that bottle and they threw it overboard with the cork in it, and it floated in the ocean and it ended up on this beach. I'm sorry, that's really cool.